So we're going to go over the week 5 quiz. So this presentation will go over your week 5 quiz. Make sure you can score 100% on your practice quiz before you take your actual week 5 quiz. What are quotation marks? Quotation marks are used to quote dialogue. You must use both the beginning quotation mark and ending quotation mark around a dialogue. So here you would say, John says, Michael is here. So you have a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark. If any of the quotation marks are missing, then that means it's incorrect. In Jason Bourne, Nikki Parsons cryptically tells Jason, remembering everything doesn't mean you know everything. Why is this correct? Because you have a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark. You must have quotation marks around both sides of your dialogue. These sentences are wrong because this one is missing a quotation mark over here, and this one is missing a quotation mark over there. Here, this one is correct because you have a quotation mark over here and a quotation mark over here. Quiz question. Is this a correct or incorrect sentence? Is there a missing quotation mark? Which one is the correct sentence? So the answer is C, because you have a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark. And then which one of these is correct? It's got to be this one, because when you have a title, a movie title, you have to italicize it. My dad's favorite saying is, don't pull tomorrow's cloud over today's sunshine. Where is the missing quotation mark? The missing quotation mark is before don't. So the beginning quotation mark is always at the beginning of the dialogue. So you always put quotation marks around what people say. Here's a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark. You always use italics around movie titles. I saw a movie named Gone with the Wind. So incorrect here, it's not italicized, so that's why that's not right. So in APA, we use italics for titles of books and movies. Correct. Alex Haley wrote the book Roots. And so here, Roots is italicized. The movie Roots was based on the book, so here you have the book title that's italicized, and here you have the movie title that's italicized. Plural subjects. What is plural subject? Plural subject is when you have more than one noun. So coats is a plural subject. Here you have a singular subject. The coat is old, singular. Is this a singular or plural subject? Because you have the word s, that means more than one book. It's a plural subject. Which sentence demonstrates a plural subject? The coats were packed away for summer. The coat was packed away for summer. So here the answer is A, because you got more than one coat. Capitalization. Capitalize famous names and titles. Capitalize proper nouns. A proper noun is a noun with famous names and titles, like ethnicities, countries, names of people, universities, places, titles, like President Lincoln is a title. Uncle Bob is a title. France, Japan, and US are names of countries. So those all have to be italicized because those are all proper nouns. This one's wrong because the word French is not italicized. Uncle Bob has to be italicized because it's somebody's name. President Lincoln has to be italicized because it's a title and somebody's name. 16th US president all have to be italicized because it's a title. You also have to capitalize I. Which one shows proper capitalization? So the correct answer is A. A slightly more peaceful France, because country has to be italicized, and Napoleon Bonaparte, which is somebody's name, has to be italicized. Select the following sentences that show proper capitalization. So Grandma Janet has to be capitalized because it's somebody's name. This one's wrong because uncle needs to be italicized. Not italicized. Uncle needs to be capitalized, and I has to be capitalized. What's wrong with these sentences? President of the United States needs to be capitalized because it is a title. Devil wears Prada. So always use one beginning quotation mark at the beginning of your dialogue and another quotation mark at the end of your dialogue. So always use quotation marks for what people are saying, and always use italics for movies and books. So here, Gone with the Wind is italicized, firm is italicized. And what's wrong with this sentence? Well, the movie title, The Devil Wears Prada, is not italicized. And this is correct because the movie title is italicized. Comma usage rules. Use a comma after a dependent clause when the dependent clause is at the beginning of the sentence. So when I walk the dog is a dependent clause and it needs a comma. And then if the dependent clause is at the end of the sentence, you don't need a comma. So I walk the dog when I chew gum. And so you don't need a comma. Although John is fat is a dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence, so it needs a comma. When Karen's mother returned to college this year, that's a dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence and it needs a comma. Use a comma after fanboys when for, and, nor, but, yet, so are between two sentences. So Mary is tall, comma, but John is short. John is fat, yet he eats very little. Quiz question. When Karen's mother returned to college this year, it needs a comma. The entire family had to help out. Where is the missing comma? So this is the missing comma. It's after year. So whenever the dependent clause ends and the independent clause starts, that's where you put your comma. So when a dependent clause is at the beginning of a sentence, it needs a comma. But the exception to this rule is when you have relative clauses. Relative clauses, also known as adjective clauses, modifies the noun it describes. If the adjective clause is located in the middle of the sentence, you need two commas. If the relative clause is located at the end of the sentence, use one comma. So the cactus plant, which is sold at high prices, is rare. And so when you use which, that which, who, and whose, and it's in the middle of the sentence, you have comma before the dependent clause and after the dependent clause. If the adjective clause is at the end of a sentence, it takes one comma. That I bought a rare cactus plant, that or which is sold at high prices. So you need a comma before that or which. That or which means the same thing. Quiz question. Large cactus plants which now sell for high prices are being stolen from national parks. And so I said that when you have a which relative clause and it's in the middle of the sentence, you need a comma after plants and a comma before prices right here. And so here the answer is A, after plants and before prices. The demonstrators protesting nuclear arms carried signs reading, "The humans have never invented a weapon they haven't used." Where is there a missing comma? When the relative clause is at the end of the sentence, you need a comma. So the answer is weapon. Week 5 quiz questions about comma usage. Large cactus plants, which now sell for very high prices, are being stolen from protected areas. And so here you have a which clause in the middle of a sentence, and therefore it needs two commas. And so here, John, who is French, so you have two commas when you have a which clause in the middle of the sentence. When you have a who clause in the middle of a sentence, you need two commas. And what's wrong with this sentence? Well, when you have a coordinating conjunction, fanboys, and when they are in the middle of the sentence, you need one comma. When Karen's mother returned to college this year, and so after year, because the dependent clause is at the beginning of the sentence, you need a comma. Difference between you and your. So your means you are. Your is a possessive pronoun. You're crazy to go into the seawater in the wintertime. This is the correct answer. And you don't say you're crazy. And your wallet is filled with money. And you don't say your wallet is filled with money. I am sure you are going to think I'm crazy. So this is the correct answer because this contraction stands for you are. And your wallet was stolen, and this is a possessive pronoun, so that's the correct answer. Abbreviations. Only standard abbreviations are used in writing, such as USA or TESOL. If it is not standard, then spell it out for clarity. TESOL, Teaching English as a Second Language. In that way, readers know what the abbreviations stand for. When you write a paper, spell out the abbreviation the first time you use it in a thesis. We use only correct abbreviations in academic papers. We don't use texting in our papers. So we don't say, you are my best friend forever. So use only standard abbreviations in workplace documents. I will text you the directs to my house later today. That's not correct English. Whereas if you have FBI, PhD, these are correct abbreviations. Numbers. Spell out numbers that are fewer than 3 words. So here you have the word 72 hours. Since it's fewer than 3 words, then write out the number. Select which sentence contains the correct use of numbers. So this would be a quiz question. We'll have a report for you in 72 hours, or we'll have a report for you in 72 hours. And so since it's less than 3 words, the answer is, since the word 72 is less than 3 words, the answer is A. Select which sentence contains the correct use of the number. Since it's less than 3 words, we write out the number 5. Okay, so here is your week 5 practice quiz. Large cactus plants, which now sell for very high prices, are being stolen from national parks and protected desert areas. Where is there a missing comma? And so when the which clause is in the middle of the sentence, we have a comma over here and a comma over here. We have 2 commas. So the answer is after plants and prices. Which sentence is correct? The FBI, PhD, which sentence is incorrect? Sorry. Which sentence is incorrect? And the answer is this one, C, because we don't use text messaging in our academic writing. Pick the sentence with the correct quotation marks. And the answer here is B, because here, the answer here is, the answer here is B, because here you have a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark for the dialogue, and you have your italics for your movie title. So B is the correct answer. Only standard abbreviation should be used in academic writing. If it is not standard, then spell out the word phrase for clarity. That's true because we don't use text messaging in our writing. We use regular abbreviations like USA. My dad's favorite saying is. So here you're missing a beginning quotation mark here. So the answer is before don't. Which sentence is correct? It's C, because here you need a apostrophe can't and you need an apostrophe weren't. Number 7, which is the correct answer? It's this one, because you need a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark for your dialogue, and both of these are missing quotation marks. Which one shows proper capitalization? It would be A, because it has France has to be capitalized, titles have to be capitalized. And all the others, here France is not capitalized, so it's wrong. And here A is not capitalized. Remember, the first word of every sentence has to be capitalized. So the correct answer is A. Which one contains the correct use of numbers? B, because if it's less than 3 words, you write out the number. Which sentence shows proper capitalization? C, because here you have to write out the name, capitalize proper noun, and you have to capitalize the title. When Karen's mother returned to college this year, the entire family had to help out with the housework. Where is there a missing comma? After year. Because when you have a dependent clause at the beginning of the sentence, you always put a comma. I had left my wallet on the store counter, but the clerk called me at home to say that it was safe. Where is there a missing comma? Before the word but. Okay, because when you have fanboys in the middle of a sentence, for and but or nor so yet, you need to use a comma. So the answer is after counter, right here. That's where you put the comma before but. If he understands the circumstances, he will make the correct choice. So the answer is he. Find a truly original idea. So here you want to put the quotation marks in the proper place. And so which one is the correct answer? And so you got to make sure that the dialogue both has a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark. B is the correct answer because here you have a beginning quotation mark and an ending quotation mark for the dialogue. Dialogues always need a beginning and ending quotation mark. And the movie title needs to be italicized. I am sure you are going to think I'm crazy. Okay, because you need the contraction. Your stands for you are. Which one has proper capitalization? Grandma Janet. Because when you have a name, if you just have simply say grandma, you don't need to capitalize it. But if you say Grandma Janet, then you have to capitalize it. Here, this is wrong because uncle needs to be capitalized for Uncle Bob. So you have to write, this has to be uncle capitalized and then Bob capitalized. If you just say, I love my uncle, you don't need capitalization. But if you add someone's name, then you got to capitalize it. So the correct answer is Grandma Janet. Select the sentence that puts the quotation marks in the proper place. And so here, none of these are correct. Believe it or not, none of these are correct because here when you have a movie title, you need italicized. There's no italicized in all of these. None of these movie titles are italicized. Therefore, the answer is none of the above are correct. Actually, the correct sentence is this, but it's not listed here. Emily Blunt's character in, and then you italicize the movie title. The Devil Wears Prada explains. And then you have to have you got to have it. This one actually is not correct. Oops. This should have a quotation mark over here. Oopsie. Okay, I made a mistake. This needs a quotation mark over here, and this needs a quotation mark over here. Anyway, the answer to this question is none of the above are correct because The Devil Wears Prada, none of these have italicized, and movie titles always need to be italicized. The demonstrators protesting nuclear arms carrying signs reading, humans have never invented a weapon they haven't used. Where is there a missing comma? So I said that when you have a that or which clause, which is a relative clause, which is an adjective clause, and it's at the end of a sentence, you need one comma. That's different from a subordinating conjunction, okay? This is one of the exceptions to the rule. Normally, when a dependent clause is at the end of a sentence, you don't need a comma. But if you're using adjective clauses, you have to have a comma. So that's the exception. You can look up appositives and restrictive and non-restrictive clauses for more information. So here the answer is after weapon. And that pretty much sums up your week 5 quiz. So if you have any questions, you can still go to my week 4 instructor session lecture notes, which has the same thing, or you go to my week 4 instructor session Zoom session so that you can ask questions. Because in my week 4 instructor session Zoom session, I will do a live lecture on the week 5 quiz, and if you attend my Wednesday lecture, then you can ask questions and you can actually do the practice quiz with me. That way I can slow down, and if you have any questions, this is why going to the live lecture is very useful, because then you can one-on-one ask questions with me about the quiz. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. So I will end this video now.